as we continue on with the lessons of drawing the female figure, and again, we're trying to learn how to draw it from our mind, so that way we don't need many references when we draw. But this is a really awesome reference tool. So before we get into drawing the backside, which is what we'll be doing in these next few videos, we'll be learning the backside, the main lines of the backside, just like we did for the front and for the side, because the backside is also important. And then we'll learn the 3/4 view, which is about like so, or different types of 3/4 views where you can kind of have her legs sort of facing forward, but then you can have her body twisting more, like so. And one thing you'll notice from 3/4 views is the breast. Even see how this is at an angle, but I'm just twisting this top part here, but this part here is not really at an angle to us much. And then depending on how even if you put it at way angle, that breast almost always is always in view, the one that's closest to you. And notice what happens to her shoulder. Hair of the shoulder disappears. And so if you make a typical 3/4 view like this, which is drawn often, you have the little shoulder there, little shoulder showing over there. You have this kind of diagonal view here. And usually want to twist the body like this when you're doing this kind of view. Usually don't want the hips facing sideways, because the hips from the side isn't really all that exciting, unless the most at the side, like that's kind of boring. That's okay. So the most would be like about like that. But anyway, this breast will pretty much face you. That breast will be pointing to the side like that. So the nipple's right here, pointing to the side, and this nipple will be facing you pretty much. Okay, so what I wanted to show you real quick is before we get into the backside, is some things with foreshortening. That's why I have our arm out like this. So you can see here. Oh, by the way, this, if you can't see up here, it says DAZ Studio 2.3. This is a free program. So you can download DAZ 3D for free, and then you can download this model for free too on their website. And she comes with a few positions, and also you can download the guy model for free. You kind of have to search the website. It's kind of a pain in the butt the way they have it set up, but once you get it all rolling, it's actually a pretty cool program. I actually like it better than Poser in a lot of ways. Anyway, and it's good just to get quick setups if you just kind of like you can't find the right reference you want. And anyway, but that's why we're trying to dedicate most of memory, so we don't really need references, especially if you want to do comic drawing. Then you don't really have time for references. You want to memorize and be able to draw the human body quickly. So here we can see the full length of the arm. Now watch what happens as I move the arm towards us. It's going to foreshorten. What that means is the segments of the arm are getting shorter. See, this muscle and this muscle are now they're actually starting to look shorter than they were before. And by the time you get to about here, that muscle almost completely disappears. Look how short it is now. So if you were to draw that on a piece of paper, you're just drawing a tiny little segment. And the more that arm comes towards us, the more foreshortened, until finally everything disappears but the fist. And you might see a little bit of the arm, depending on how big the arm is, a little bit of the arm, a little bit of the shoulder sticking out. Okay, so that's foreshortening. And let's see here. We'll look at a few more things. We'll go down. And you can see the arm will get longer each piece. Think of it as when you're drawing the circle here and the circle here. And as it comes down, they get longer and longer and longer. That's foreshortening. Same thing happens to the body. Look at it from the front or even from the back. And as you come down, the whole body foreshortens. Look at the legs getting shorter, each segment of the leg. So you have that first circle here, second circle here. And as you go down, you'll notice everything gets shorter. Notice the body here and here. Pieces are getting short until you can't really see anything. Now you can just only barely see the breast in here, and then finally when you come to the top, you're just going to see like the top of the head, top of the shoulders, the breast sticking out, the butt sticking out, maybe some of the feet down there just because of the angle she's at. If she was standing completely straight, you wouldn't even be able to see her feet, just maybe her heels. And then we'll look at the leg. Watch the leg go foreshortened. As they come up, you watch this leg, the parts get smaller and smaller until all you see is those parts that are sticking out. So, okay, so that's a little bit about foreshortening. Let's go ahead and get to drawing the backside now. Okay, so we're going to do the same things we did before, showing the different shapes. So we'll start out with the rectangle, which is going to represent, and maybe I should move her down so we can kind of see it more, where it's kind of equal. And then here is the actual photo we can look at too. And just because there's some things you can't see on the, so you can't really see the bones a little bit here. We can't really see that bone there on the 3D model. This model's not, it's not all that defined, unfortunately. I should get something like Maya or something so I can have real 3D models. Anyway, so you can see that there, the shoulder blades in the back. And then the line, of course. And one thing of note is you have this heart shape in the back, right here. Remember how before we had the heart shape in the front for the breast? That was upside down. So it's almost like this upside down heart shape is something that we find sexy, because appears on both sides, and both sides of the body that men happen to enjoy have this upside down heart shape. So it's kind of interesting. So then we draw our second square, the same length as the first one. And I have these pre-done just for this is faster. And then the reason why I have this square like this is because in this particular drawing I'm looking at, her legs are bent. So I have to account for that, because if I would have put them down, their legs would have been totally straight. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started then. And so there's some things that we're going to want to memorize just as before. So once you have this basic structure, this is how you always get the length of the body. And then, if they're bending over, you just kind of imagine the squares bending into each other. Like, if she's kind of bending towards us, then you would have kind of like, you can have one square, and then you can have the other square, kind of coming into it like that, just depending on how the body is bent. But you always do this to get the proportions right. Okay, so now we know that right here in this square, normally in the front, this would be where the crotch was at, right, and then where the legs would come off. So since we know that, we know also from the back side then that the butt is actually going to come just a little bit below that line, just not much, like about like so, about like that. We know the halfway point, so if we had to, I'm trying to draw this as perfect as possible, that's not the exact middle. What I could do is use my mouse, and I can click and then hold down the shift key and click again. And I'm going to actually put all these layers together really quick. Okay, then I turn the opacity down a bit. Doing that's X in the doing the X in the middle there just gives you that middle point, which is important. Make another layer on top of this one I can work with. Okay, so now we know the middle. I know that normally in the front, this here would be about right there, be about the belly button, and about halfway would be where the about where the elbows or the arms go. And I know also that from the neck here, it's going to kind of come down at an angle. So from the back, you can just go ahead and just draw that shape there, and then you can just draw two little circles for the shoulder. We know that the line. Now, here's something I want to memorize for the back: is it comes down to about the halfway point. So that because remember where the belly button is. So about where the belly button would be, maybe right about there. That's where that line would stop, and that's where your V is going to begin. So I'm just going to kind of cut off, kind of come up like that. So kind of memorize that, and then this X, actually kind of interesting, gives us the sort of the natural back muscle, and then we know that we'd have our shoulder blades. We can just kind of draw those in there. And then we have to do upside down heart, and the best way to do the upside down heart is to kind of just at first is to kind of just imagine it like this, to go into that point. So we have that same upside down heart in the back as we had in the front. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit here where I can see what I'm drawing and make it easier for me to draw. So I'm going to kind of come out and just kind of draw this heart shape. So something like so. I'm just kind of drawing in really quick for now. And okay, so this video is now going to be finished, and go ahead and to support me, click on the link. You don't have to read the articles that I post there. I'll just be changing the articles as they're published, and that supports me. That way I can keep bringing you these free videos. And sorry I didn't cover more in this one. Well, I guess we covered a lot, but not so much with the back. So next video we'll finish it, and we'll learn all the aspects that we need.